that's on this team. You got PJ Tucker, that's on this team as well. You got Nene Hilario. He is the muscle guy, if you will. Clint Capella. I told y'all about Clint Capella before the season started. I said y'all need to make sure you keep an eye out for Clint Capella. This dude is averaging a double-double right now. 14 points and 11 rebounds. And I don't care what KD says about Clint Capella having an easy job. That's fine. Clint Capella's job is not to be James Harden. Clint Capella's job is not to be Chris Paul. Clint Capella's job is not to be Eric Gordon. Clint Capella's job is to be Clint Capella. You have to have someone that benefits from what the other players he has around him do. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's averaging a double-double. And now, this dude, I think this is the key that really is going to make this Western Conference, because I'm going to call it right now. Houston and Golden State is meeting each other in the Western Conference Final. There's not going to be, a slip up like before with James Harden falling apart or anything like that. I just really don't think that's going to happen. But the guy that they picked up that is going to be big time for them is Joe Johnson. And I've seen Joe Johnson here in Atlanta playing for the Hawks, and they haven't had the success that they wanted to have, obviously, in Atlanta when it was him and Al Horford and Marvin Williams and Josh Smith, and Jeff Teague, and all that stuff. But the one thing Joe Johnson did, he hit a lot of big shots. He may not have hit a lot of game winners, but he hit a lot of big shots to either tie it up or keep them in the game. And that's one thing Joe Johnson has done his entire career. And if you add him, or they did, you add him with this team, I thought it was so smart, for him to get out of Utah and get to Houston. Because the only other team that I really saw him having a chance with was when he was with Miami, but they still didn't have the greatest chance, on that. But with this team, when you got James Harden, Chris Paul, like I said, Clint Capella, Trevor Ariza will hit shots when, at times will make plays when you need them. Eric Gordon is that guy off the bench that you need. But Joe Johnson is that third option. When the playoff comes around and when the playoff starts, they are going to use Joe Johnson. Trust me on that. He did it when he was in Utah, when they were in the playoffs. He hit a lot of big shots, and he's going to have the luxury of just waiting, for the ball to come to him. He's not going to have to create like he used to all the time, which he can create still. He's a little bit older, but he still can create. So that's why I'm saying, do the Rockets scare the Warriors? I think they do a tad bit. And, I think the Warriors are still like, we're the Warriors. We got KD, we got Clay, we got Steph, we're the champs. And as they should. But I really think that they need to be worried a little bit. Now, on the flip side of that, the Rockets have won 16 games. 16 games in a row. And it made me think like, y'all won 16 games in a row. And looking at the standings, you're only a half game ahead of the Warriors. Both of them, and both of them have 50 wins. The only difference is Houston got 13 losses and Golden State has 14. So that head-to-head game that Houston won helped them out, at this point. Now, Houston definitely want to have home court advantage. You don't want to go game 7 if you end up having to go to Golden State. But what does that say about the Golden State Warriors that we've been talking about, and people have been talking about the Warriors as well. But what does that say about the Golden State Warriors is that Houston went on this 16-game winning streak, and they are still only up half a game almost at the end of the season. That is amazing. This is why this season is going to be, or the end of the season, this playoff are going to be really good. And I'm going to go to the Western Conference for a little bit, real quick. Even though these other teams are double-digit games behind, they are picking up a little steam. Portland has always seemed to try to show up for games. It's just they don't have the firepower. Dame Lillard is balling out of his mind. CJ McCollum, what's the new kid? Zach Collins. They have a nice team that they're putting together, but they're just not there yet. They just don't have enough pieces. New Orleans, you really thought that they could probably make some noise with Boogie. And Anthony Davis, I've talked about it, him balling out of his mind too. I think he may be in the running for, MVP. But again, they just don't have the pieces. Minnesota, I think Minnesota could give some problems to people. People don't want to see Minnesota once when Jimmy Butler gets back, at this point, but they're a little weak, right now. But that whole 3-8, if you will, but 3-7 is they only separated by 2.5 games. So anything could change, on that. But you got to go to that next level when you get to seeing Houston or Golden State. And like I said, I don't think the Rockets scare the Warriors per se, but they do worry them because the Rockets play defense. Before, especially a Mike D'Antoni team, they were only looked at as like, all they do is shoot. All they do is shoot. They shoot threes. They shoot this. They shoot that. They're shooting. They're shooting. Oh, there again. They're shooting again. And they kind of changed that around. They are real deal. And I keep telling people, and I'm going to say it again tonight, James Harden has no choice. I think everyone have him already penciled in. You might can write it in ink as the MVP, so he doesn't have to worry about that. I think that's going to be, a burden off his shoulders. But he got bigger problems and he got bigger things to solve, and that's that whole thing of him disappearing in important games. And I think I'm going to give him another chance. Some people have already written him off like fish, but I just think he has no choice. He has no choice at this point. And he has no excuses. Their team is equipped to go at Golden State. Their team is built to give Golden State a run. Golden State is not blowing people out like they once were a couple years ago. Golden State, have shown a little, weakness at times. But they're not scared. But they should be worried. They should definitely be worried. And Chris Paul, he also has an opportunity too. And I gotta be honest. I kind of saw Houston taking a step back because I thought they would be trying to figure this out pretty much like OKC is doing right now with their three. And by the way, I think OKC, side note, they're 7th in the Western Conference at 37-29. So they more than likely they're still going to make the playoffs. But here's the thing. They were the 7th seed last year with just Russ. So now everyone's talking about, who's to blame? Who's to blame? Clutch Talk Sports said, let me ask you a question. Just a question. Who guards Kevin Durant for the Rockets? That's going to be a mixture of people, Clutch. I'm going to say there's going to be 2 people that will attempt to slow Kevin Durant down. And that's going to be Trevor Ariza and that's going to be PJ Tucker. I think also what they'll try and do, get a little physical, because the playoffs is more physical. Try and put a body on him a little bit more. Try and make him work on the defensive end a little bit more. But I think Ariza and PJ Tucker. Those are, maybe he wasn't asking me. Maybe he was asking somebody else. But I saw it in the chat room, and so I said I'm going to answer the question. So, but those are my two people that I would say is probably going to guard them. I'm trying to think if there anyone else on the Rockets that could slow I think more than anything, if they'll try and double team him, with Clint Capella, try and use his size, to try and make KD throw over Clint Capella and turn the ball over. I think that's another way, they might do it. But yeah, primarily I'm going to go with I forgot Mbamute. They may even put him, on KD just a little bit. Just to try and give him a different look. Now, KD is almost 7 feet tall. Mbute is 6'8", so he could pull up, over him. But again, this is not like there's an actual right question to where it'd be like it's the contra code. You unlock 40 men or anything like that, and then now you shut down KD. That just doesn't happen. It's more who can slow him down, frustrate him, and change the game. And he not score 35 points, and maybe he scored 25 points, because I think that that'd be a big difference. So that is my answer to your question, sir. I know it was a long-winded answer, but I had to, give you a little bit of substance or a little stuff, around it. So, where are we at now? We talked about coaches. We talked about the the NFL draft. We talked about the combine, and I'm very, very surprised by this. This is not even a report. This is factual at this point. But I hope Sid is still out there listening. I forgot about John Gruden when he took the role as the Oakland Raiders head coach, that there wasn't going to be no more Gruden QB camp. So they were talking about who could replace him. And I was thinking like, wow, who could they have in there? And because Gruden is intense and he's all over the place, and he start running these plays, and he, get the QB, to get up on the board, and all this stuff. Who could they have do that? And I did not have in mind Russell Wilson. So the news is that they're going to change the show from Gruden's QB camp to QB to QB with Russell Wilson. So he will be talking with potential NFL quarterbacks that are coming into the league. They say he's going to talk to some other people in other positions as well, but primarily, quarterbacks, and go through basically, I guess, what it's like, being a QB, in the NFL. Maybe he'll have him go up on the board, and draw something up. So this really kind of threw me, for a second, because I did not have Russell Wilson. And I'm not saying, he's going to be horrible or anything like that. I think I'm going to wait and see how, the show do before I make judgment like that. But he is following up, an all-time, great show in Gruden's QB camp. Because the thing about Gruden's QB camp, like how it started out and where it ended up, like he has his own like office facility that he used that all the recruit or the potential draft prospects go to. He has all these films and everything. So like he created this whole, aura, everything about the whole, and then, he give you the look, and all that stuff, the Chucky look, and all that stuff. So I'm like, we're going from that to Russell Wilson, who's a great guy, very positive, very motivational, guy. And I don't know if he's going to come at the prospects, with the real, just like, look, it's going to be this, that, and the third. How are you going to handle this? I don't know if it's going to be like that, and maybe he shouldn't be like that, but it will be interesting. I'll give it a shot. I'll probably watch an episode or two, to see, how it goes. But I expect it to be different. And I expected, I had a conversation with someone earlier today about, who I really could have expected to do this position. If they were going to do a QB, I thought it would be someone that was out of the league, not necessarily in the league, or just recently retired. I mean, I guess Tony Romo couldn't do it because he's working for CBS. If he was working for ESPN, then probably he could, do it. But I thought, Troy Aikman name came up.